Here we have a rotating body, say a wheel like this, that rotates about a fixed axis passing through this point O. Now, as this body rotates, you can see that each particle on the body is following a circular path. Let's say the speed of this wheel increases. The wheel starts rotating faster. See, obviously there has to be some force that speeds up the body, but currently we are not talking of that force. We're talking of the acceleration of this rotating body. Now I'm going to take one particle over here, say at this point, and let's say this particle is P. As the speed of the wheel increases, the particle's speed also changes, and we can say that this particle accelerates. But what is the direction of this acceleration? See, in case of straight line motion, you know that if the speed of a particle increases, and let's say you have a particle which is moving in this direction, it has a velocity v. Now, if the speed of this particle increases, which means it starts moving faster, that means the acceleration of the particle is also in the same direction. So you can say that same is the case here. As the particle moves along a circular path, first of all, let us see what is the direction of its velocity. The direction of its velocity at each instant is tangential to the path. Say the particle is here, then this is the direction of its velocity. If the particle is here, this is the direction of its velocity. So the direction of the velocity at each instant is tangential to its path. Now if we are saying that the particle rotates faster or it accelerates, that means the direction of the acceleration is also in the same direction. The acceleration will also be along the velocity. So if this is the velocity vector, then this is the acceleration vector. And which is the case for each position of the particle? The direction of the acceleration vector is parallel to the velocity vector at that instant. Next, we'll write the mathematical expression for the velocity and the acceleration. Velocity v is equal to r omega, where r is the radius of the circular path along which the particle is moving and omega is the angular velocity. Now, in case you're not familiar with this expression, please listen to my video titled Angular Displacement, Angular Velocity and Relation Between Them. Okay, now over here, we'll next write down the expression for the acceleration, the tangential acceleration, this one, which is tangent to the path and along the velocity. Now, the tangential acceleration acts as the magnitude of the particle's velocity or its speed is changing. You know that velocity is a vector. It has both magnitude and direction. Over here, we're talking of a change in the magnitude of the particle's velocity. So, this acceleration is equal to the rate of change of speed of the body. So, dv by dt. Since v is r omega, we will differentiate v with respect to t, and this is differentiation with respect to t of r omega. Since the radius of the path does not change, so r is constant and this is d omega times dt. Now the rate of change of angular velocity omega is the angular acceleration alpha. So this is r times alpha. Now in the diagram over here, we can write v as r omega and acceleration a is r alpha. Now you might be wondering that we've been talking only of the tangential component of acceleration. But what about the centripetal acceleration? Why have we not talked about it? Yes, this other component of acceleration, which is a radial component, which acts along the radius towards the center of the circle, will also exist. Because when this body rotates, each particle is in circular motion. This acceleration, the centripetal acceleration, is associated with a change in direction of the particle's velocity. So let's look at this a little more in detail. Let's say the particle moves from this point over here. We call this P1 to P2. Now let me just take this portion and just draw a diagram for this. Let me just draw a diagram here. See, this is the first position over here. This is at a distance r, and this again, the second position is again at a distance r. At this point, you have velocity v1, which is tangent to the curve over here, and here we have velocity v2. So this little triangle that I am drawing over here, this is velocity v1, and this here is velocity v2. This was v1, which was tangent to the first point, and this is v2, which was tangent at the second point. This angle between the two positions is theta, and this angle will also be theta. Reason being, v1 is perpendicular to r and v2 is perpendicular to r. So if this angle is theta, the angle between the two velocity vectors will also be theta. I have just picked the second velocity vector and placed it over here at this position, so that the tails of the two vectors coincide. Now you can see that the vector over here, this vector, gives us the change in position. So if this is the final position and this is the initial vector, then the vector delta S is the final position minus the initial position, and the direction of this vector will be in this direction. Again over here, if you find the difference between these two vectors, then that will be delta V. So this is delta V, and delta V is V2 minus V1. See, if you get confused, the best way to think of this is, then this is V1, this is V2, and let's say this is X. Now you start from the tail of the first vector. So V1, then you have the tail of the second vector. So plus X is equal to V2. So X is equal to V2 minus V1. Now you can see that these two triangles are similar because the ratio of the corresponding sides is equal and the included angle is equal. So by SAS similarity, these two triangles are similar. If the two triangles are similar, I can write down the ratio of the corresponding sides, and that's going to be equal. That would be delta V over V1 is equal to delta S over R. Now from this I can write delta V as V1 times delta S over R, and since I want to find out the acceleration, the average acceleration is going to be delta V over delta T, which can be written as V1 over R. I'm just rearranging this a little, times delta S by delta T. Now if I take this in the limit, delta T tending towards 0, which means I'm taking a very short time interval. So the particle at two very close positions, in that case I can say that the acceleration is equal to limit delta T tends to 0 V1 over R times delta S over delta T, and this can be written as V1 over R times limit delta S over delta T is going to give me the velocity times velocity V1. So we have V1 square over R. Now this is going to give us the centripetal acceleration when the particle is at this position and it has a velocity V1. Say the particle is at this position and it has a velocity V2. At this position, the centripetal acceleration will be V2 square over R. So the value of the centripetal acceleration will depend on the velocity of the particle. Okay, now let's just recollect some of the main points that we've discussed so far. So you know that velocity is a vector quantity and it has both magnitude and direction. If the magnitude of the velocity changes, which means the speed of the rotating body changes, then the particle has a tangential component of acceleration which acts tangential to the circle at each point. If the direction of the velocity changes, then it has a centripetal component of acceleration, and if a particle is moving in a circle, then the direction is continuously changing. So a centripetal component of acceleration is always present. Now the vector sum of the centripetal component, this is the centripetal component which acts along the radius towards the center of the circle, and we'll denote this as A subscript radially acting, and the other is the tangential component. Now the vector sum of these two accelerations gives us the acceleration A of the particle. So the acceleration A is the vector sum of the centripetal component and the tangential component. The vector sum of these two vectors gives us the acceleration A of the particle. This is called the linear acceleration A. In each of these cases, you have to state whether the tangential component and the centripetal component is 0, not 0, or is it v square over r.